Hey everybody, it's Katie Harris here with another episode of working on NOLA. So very excited today. We're talking about webinar funnels, and I like to use these a lot. I use lots of webinars. We do webinars all the time, and it can be a pain in the butt to set them up. So we have webinar funnels inside of NOLA, and that's what we're going to show you today. So Ira is going to bring it up. There we go. And actually, I got to make my screen bigger because I can't see anything. Oh, we have Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, everybody.
Awesome. All right. So how to get started with a marketing webinar. So, whenever you come to a webinar landing, you come to a landing page, right? It asks you to register for the webinar. And then behind the scenes, there is stuff that goes on. So that's what we're going to walk you through today. Can we go to the actual landing page for this, the preview? Oh, there's no domain, is there? Will it still do a preview? Okay, so this is your basic webinar page. How to get started with marketing is just an example. This is a demo account that we are using right now. And there's some pretty basic things that you want to have on a webinar landing page. Starting with, at the top of this page, we have, the title of the webinar. This is what's you have to sell people to come into the webinar first and foremost. So you want to have that, and then, a brief description of what it is, when it is, and how to register. And that's all on the top fold here. All you have to do is change out the logo, the images, the colors, and the text, and the date and time, obviously, and the registration link. But all of that stuff is set up and ready to go. And then underneath, the people, if they're not sold by just the title and they're like, okay, what is this? What are we actually going to figure out? What are we going to learn? You can add, delete, but the topic's covered. This is just to build more excitement for your webinar, especially if you're doing something special and you want to make sure people know that that's what's going to be covered. And then below that, if people even get to this, who you are and why they should come to the webinar. And just more repeat buttons to register for the webinar. So when you hit that Save My Seat, a form is going to come up, and it would be right here in this box. The form is something that gets that you would have to edit this, so you can create a new form, you can clone a new form, change out the title, and then have them register. I would do a new form for every webinar just so that you don't get the automations confused. And it reminds them of the date. They put in their name, phone number, email. And then when they hit register, it's going to go to the next page in the funnel, which is just a thank you page. And, obviously, if you're doing this live, this is where they come. And this is your opportunity. So this is another just landing page, and you can just have them go check out your website, or you could do things like put a video here that says, I'm so excited you're coming to the webinar. These are the things that you need to know. Or you can have them, you can put more information here, or you can say, before you come to the webinar, buy this, or go here, or do this, or download this book, or whatever the case may be. You can do whatever you want on this page. But it is an opportunity to have them do the next step. So you want to take them step by step through the process of what you want them to do. And you could just say you're registered. Make sure to check your email for additional information. You can have a button for check out our website, or like I said, anything that you want them to do. Or you can just have nothing. So when we're in a hurry and I'm just kind of putting this together, there'll just be nothing, or I'll have to check out our website, and that's fine. Now, what happens on the back end? So here they register for the webinar. Now we have a webinar automation. And the automation is triggered by that form that they just filled out. So we put that first step, the filter is form is, first step to success. Oh my gosh, sorry. I need my supplements. I'm really tired all of a sudden. Anyway, and then what we did in this registration template was add a tag. And in that tag is just whatever you want. If you want to know who signed up for this webinar, so I would just give them a webinar tag, whatever it is. If it's a marketing webinar, you could have the tag be signed up for marketing webinar, right? You don't have to have this, but so you can always delete that added tag if you want to, but it's actually a really nice feature to have to keep organized so that you know who came to what. The next one is a confirmation email. Here it says you're in, here's the date and time, and that's dynamically set up. So the date and time of the webinar would be done. You can also hyperlink, click this link to join the webinar, or you can just say, when it's time, we'll send you the link for the webinar, whatever the case may be. And then any extra steps that you want them to follow, and that's it. So that's all. It's a simple email that just confirms the registration. Then we use a set event time. So this is the date and time of your webinar. So you pick that specific time, and then everything that comes after it will only launch relative to that start time. So everybody that's in this funnel, the funnel is going to wait until 6 hours before the webinar and then start sending emails like, hey, here's the webinar link, and that's the next email. And then 1 hour before the webinar, it's going to say, hey, we're about to start in an hour. Here's the webinar link. And you can even send SMSs if you want. You can add those in. And then I like this one, wait 10 minutes before. So at 10 minutes before, hey, we're about to go live, right? So what I like about this is that you can put however much you want, but if somebody signs up 10 minutes before the webinar starts, they're not going to get all those other emails. They're just going to get this email. So 10 minutes before, and then it's going to wait until 2 hours after, which is the next wait time that we have there. Right. And it's going to skip. Actually, can you go back to the wait 2 hours for a second? What Iris done here is skipped all outbound communications. So this is waiting until 2 hours after, and they're not going to get the, hey, the webinar is about to start emails. They're just, if they sign up 2 minutes before the webinar, they'll get the confirmation, they'll get the link to come in, but they won't get the 6 hours before, 2 days before, 10 minutes before. They'll only get the thank you and replay link, because this is going to skip all outbound communications. And then they get the thank you replay link, and you'll have to put this in manually. If you do something on YouTube or StreamYard like we're on, you can automatically grab that share link and just stick it in here. Otherwise, you have to remember after the webinar to link it up somewhere and get it into this email. So one of the things you could do if that were the case is send a notification to yourself, like immediately after the webinar, that says, make sure you upload the webinar link to the email. So there's lots of things that you can do here. And then scroll down, and then webhook to,
This is just an optional in case they would like to connect the webinar registration to other platform.
Okay. So we have, you can certainly do a post-webinar email series from here. We have a very, very large database. So we connected to ActiveCampaign so that we can send out the post-webinar emails, just doing that. But what you could do here is, wait a day, and can you just kind of, cancel out of there. Just what you would do is hit the little plus sign, add a wait step here, and then just, however long you want to wait. If you want to wait 1 day, and always put your nomenclature up there so that you know what's going on. And then you could send email number 1, like, did you see that webinar? It was amazing. I loved it. That was the best thing ever. If you missed it, again, here's the link. So you can put whatever you want in here. And then a recap of like, hey, you should you need to buy now, or whatever the case is going to be. So if you want to do a 5 email series, you can certainly do that at the end there. And again, there's so many things that you can do, could do, should do. But this is your very basic webinar setup on the back end, and that's all through automations. And then you just save. You have to publish it when you're ready. Then you save it. So you toggle on and save it, and you're all done. That's the webinar registration. So that's how easy it can be to do webinars. And then from there on, you can just duplicate the webinar series. And like I said, I would do a new form. And so in order to build a form, I keep like a folder of webinar forms. So you can do whatever you want. If you create a folder and just call it webinar forms, right? And then you keep everything in there. So I was just moving it to webinar forms. And then let's say you do a different webinar every week, which we do frequently. All we have to do is clone this, duplicate, and then rename it for, maybe it's the second step to marketing success, right? And then what you would do is just go in and you're going to have to edit that form, because there's obviously, it just cloned everything in the first one. So you just go in, and now it's, let's just call it, webinar 2. And then you have to obviously change the date, whenever that date is. And then you can leave everything else basically the same, right? The register now button, where does that go? It's not hooked up.
It goes to the thank you page on this page.
Right. So inside the funnel, maybe we should go there for a second.
Okay, kindly let me quickly save.
Yeah, save
and
that
then on the funnel,
this is actually really important. And again, all this stuff is already set up. You just have to go in and make a couple tweaks, tweak the colors, tweak the words, if you want to add images, but you have the foundation that's here. And this is the way this is set up, is that when you click on the button, it's a pop-up. So here's the pop-up setting. So you want to make sure that when you hit that button, it goes to
the next step here.
The next step. And the next step in the funnel is the thank you page. So that's it. So you don't have to do anything on forms. It's just inside here. You're just going to go to the next step, which is the thank you page, which is really nice. And that's really how simple it is. So the first thing you're going to do is, can we go back out? To the funnel. Okay, so here on the left-hand side of the column, in the blue, in the dark blue, we're in sites, right? We're in sites, and then we're under funnels. And can you click on funnels for a second? Because there's, and then we created a funnel called How to Get Started with Marketing. And there's 2 steps in this funnel. So when we open that, we can see the 2 steps. Super basic. And then that first step, you would click in and do all the editing. And the second step is the thank you page. And then once that's done, then you're going to go into automations and make sure your automation is set up properly. So that's in the left-hand corner of the left-hand side of the, oh yeah, you can clone that. So you can clone it and just make sure you read through it to make sure that the dates and the words are all done properly. But you can clone that, absolutely. And then you're going to go, once you've set up the funnel, then you're going to set up your automation. And the automation is in the left-hand side right there. Yep. And then when you go to automation, you can also, there's your template. You can clone that as well, right? So you can clone it, duplicate it. That's the word they use. So you can duplicate that template so that you don't have to create it every single time. And then you just connect it to the right form. So whenever this form is submitted, this automation goes off. And just be mindful of your nomenclature. So instead of webinar registration template, you want to clone that, because if you make any changes to it, you want to always have a base template to work from. So you would clone it and call it, your first marketing webinar series, and then you clone the registration page and it's your second marketing webinar series, and then clone the registration page in your third one. And every time you clone it, you're going to need a new form and a new automation. So you're going to clone those as well, and just make sure they're all connected properly.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
So just to reiterate for the newbies out there, so we are, and I'm just going to reiterate one more time, guys, what Katie said. So we'll need to, if you were starting from scratch, you'll need to have a new form, right? You can duplicate that form if there is a template in there. You will also need the funnel, okay? And the form connects into the funnel, which from that funnel, you'll be able to go into that first page and literally choose from the drop down that Ira showed for next actions. And that's how the form gets pulled in. And then from here, to connect all of this, you want to go to automations and either create a new set of automations or go ahead and copy over that template. And when you put the form automatically brings the funnel in as well. Okay. So just so that we don't get confused about the steps here, it sounds like a lot, but because of the convenience of those templates and the way that the things connect in, you're really only connecting the form and the funnel, and then the automation in the form, and that ties everything together. Is that correct, Katie?
Yes, that was very well said. Because it is actually pretty simple, and you don't need so you can put a 500-step funnel together, but keep it simple. All you need is a registration page and a thank you page. And if you just start with that, then you can start getting fancy. Once you're really comfortable with that, then you can start adding more and more steps in. So you can put as many funnel steps as you want, but this is all you absolutely need. At the end of the day, if I'm in a hurry and I got to set up a funnel in 5 minutes, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to, just change the webinar name, the date, add in a new form, and connect an automation, and be done with it.
That makes sense. Okay. And I just have one more question. So what if I'm the person here? This is my first time. I've set everything up. I've got people coming in. They're registering for my webinar. Are we going to talk about how can I see how many people are registering? How can I see how many people have looked at this page? Is that something that I could do as well?
Oh, look at you. Yes. You can tell you're the operations person.
So that can be done by on the automation. There's a tag, right? There's a step here which is they will add a specific tag for a specific webinar. So that tag can be used to filter the specific contact on the system. So here on the contacts, there's a filter here. They can filter by tag and then search here the specific tag that they would like to filter or to see. And then once they click on apply, only contacts with that specific tag will show up here, and they can easily identify that contacts are the contacts who registered for the webinar.
But there's another way too, like if you go back to the automation. So what about enrollment history?
Yes. So enrollment history, this will also show here, like the total, the not the total, but the specific contacts who were added to this automation. But to easy, another thing here is because on the enrollment they will be able to see, but if they would like to have a more detail, there's also under sites and then form submission where they can just filter here the specific form. For instance, this is the webinar form, and then they can easily see all of the contacts who submitted or who registered on the specific webinar.
All right. So
So there are a lot of ways. Yes.
there's lots of ways here. So if you want to send something out, let's say you sent out a broken link by accident and you're about to go on and real quickly you need to do something. Well, if you have the tag, then you can go into contacts, filter for the tag, and then send them a quick email that says, oops, sorry, sent you the wrong link. Here's the new link. And that's one really, really fast way that you could do that, because you don't want to have to, I mean, if you had to look up every contact that signed up for it, that would be really painful. So that would be a great use of tags. Now, if you just want a total number, I mean, doing that through contacts is easy, but doing it through forms and seeing how many people submitted. Now, if you put something on your form, like, hey, what do you want me to talk about? Then that would come up here in submission. So you could see the forms and see the things that people said that they wanted to talk about. So you don't have to just collect name, phone number, email, and that's it. You could put a message there that just says, or you could poll and put like, do you want to talk about, or let's say you want to poll and see how many people are marketing agencies, or let's do something relevant. How many people are interested in, why can't I think of an example? Businesses that just getting started, or are you a business that's making 6 figures a year, or are you a business that's making 7 million a year, or millions a year, whatever, 7 figures. You could have that as a like a check mark, like they could just check it off, and then you could look real quickly at the submissions and see what people had to say about that, and that's where this submission would be. So, and then you can see, like Iris pulled it up, she filled out her information, and this is where you can see the information. And if there was a message, you would see it's there's first name, last name, email, and then message would go in that section right there, and you could see if if you had them answer free text or if you had asked questions, all that information would be right there. So lots of fun things you could do. All right, and there's more complicated things that we can do, but this is the base. This is all we're going to go over today. We can do advanced webinar stuff later. This is a very, very powerful system, but this is a good start. And if you want to set up webinars fast, this is the way to do it. So, any other thoughts, Sarah and Ira?
No, I totally agree. I think this is exactly what you need to get your feet wet, to start bringing in leads, start generating more sales without having to break your bank, without having to use a lot of your time. Very efficient way to show who you are, showcase it, teach people something, and get them into your pipeline. So I think this is really everything that you need to really get your business going and off the ground.
Yeah, I used to have special webinar software. Now I just have this. So it was really nice.
Yeah, keep it simple. Keep it simple.
That's simple. That's right. All right, guys, that's it for this week. We'll be back next week with another thing that you can do in NOLA. So hopefully you guys are either doing this, taking one thing and building on it, or working through this with us week by week. So we'll see you next week.
See you guys.